Inspired by kingdom principles that work for you.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Eats. I am your host, Oscar Stuart. And I thank you all for tuning in once again as we go into another engaging episode, one that is quite timely as a matter of fact, where we will be discussing agribusiness in the technological age. And before we get started, I just want to say a little something relative to this time in the hurricane season. And it's been a little over a year now since Hurricane Dorian slowly and viciously and mercifully made its way through the Bahamas, particularly here in Grand Bahama and in Abaco, leaving behind catastrophic damage. And farmers and agriculture was spared no less than anybody else. In a time where food security is of a grave concern to each and every individual, for farmers, it is exacerbated. Every year between the months of June to November, farmers have to worry about the threat of hurricanes. And since farming is a business, every farmer's primary interest should be protecting their investment. And one way to do that is by being more technologically innovative. So today, we'll be discussing initiatives and opportunities in agribusiness and agriculture in a whole from a technological standpoint. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. My guest today is one that I am enlivened, elated, exhilarated. In other words, I am excited to have her here. And what she's bringing to the table here today to Good Eats, she always manages to find a way to prepare it in a simple, understandable form, even for us laymen out there who would have a difficult time comprehending these aspects of it from a technological terminology. And so many times I watch her as a moderator in many webinars and a presentator. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce today Miss Shacara Lightbourne. She is currently the acting country representative and national technical specialist in the Inter-American Institute for the Cooperation of Agriculture, known as IICA, which is specialized energy and agriculture of the Inter-American system that supports the efforts of member states to achieve agricultural development and rural well-being. Ms. Lightbourne has worked at IICA for 8 years and has a wide range of knowledge and experience in agriculture in the Bahamas and internationally. In her capacity, she has conducted and assisted in facilitating workshops in grant writing, agritourism, aquaponics, backyard farming, market information systems, various crafts and workshops for women, hazard analysis and critical point, and GAPS, good agricultural practices, as well as apiculture, beekeeping, integrated for management, various stakeholder consultations, and professional development training for agricultural teachers at the Ministry of Education, and has given guest presentations throughout the country, including the University of the Bahamas. Let's welcome Miss Shacara Lightbourne.
Hi,
Miss
Oscar.
Lightbourne, how are you today?
I'm excellent and pleased to be here today.
Thank you very much. And I am elated for you to be here. Very excited about what you have to present to us in terms of information,
Hmm.
reference agribusiness and agriculture. And
Hmm.
so I know there's a vast amount of information here that you could bring to this goodie table today. And
Yeah.
so without hesitation, let's just get straight into it, please. Tell us and the viewers out there, Shakara, what is agribusiness and how does it benefit farmers and the agricultural sector, please?
Well, Oscar, a lot of the time, our farmers here traditionally we've been known to do a lot of subsistence farming throughout the islands, which is farming basically for our families, family farming, right? In,
Yeah,
let's say Cat Island or Lusra, where a lot of pothole farming was practiced traditionally. Because our soil is not as deep as some other countries like Jamaica and Trinidad and whatnot. We did a lot of pothole farming. So basically, within the honeycomb rock, we would plant whatever we need to be. So our crops were kind of scattered all over the place, not necessarily in a line all the time because we didn't have the machinery to make put the crops in rows like we do today. But that's where we've come from as an agricultural nation. And before tourism, we did a lot of that, and we did it quite well to the point where we actually used to export. For example, Exuma used to export onions to Bermuda, and some of the other islands actually export to the surrounding island nations next to us. But now I think a lot of our farmers are still in that mindset of thinking of it as more subsistence, whereas they should be thinking of agriculture and their produce as a business, like any other business, like running a store or running a consultancy firm or whatever. And with any other business, you should be keeping records, right? Whether it's your technical records of how much pesticides or fertilizer you use, as well as the money you spend on going to drop your produce to the boat to send to your customer, or the amount of money you spend to buy seeds. All this should be recorded, and that's what makes you different from a farmer and turn it into a business um, than to just be a regular old subsistence farmer, because you're extending from your family now to the wider population. So I think this is one of the things that we try to at IICA work with farmers with, and record keeping, because a lot of farmers want to access grants and funding, but they can't because they don't have any records. So they aren't keeping themselves accountable, and nobody can basically see what they've been doing over the many years that they've been farming. So that's where the business aspect of it comes in, and you have to be a little bit more serious when you're producing food for people in this day and age.
yes, yes. That is interesting that you mentioned that because I've come to learn that as well as relates to particularly the record keeping aspect of it
Mhm.
for farmers to be more meticulous, like you say, in order to receive those financial assistance and grants. And so for you farmers watching out there, remember that. And for us, and tell us, please, Shikara, the opportunities available in agriculture presently in the Bahamas or in the region or even the US, as IICA is international with all these partnering countries in the region. So what are the opportunities for some of us here in agriculture?
Well, for the immediate opportunities, I always tell people if you want to go into a business, you must first do your research. And with tourism being our most important economy, I mean, that's just how it is. It only makes sense. I always tell my colleagues in tourism that we need to marry agriculture with tourism because people always have to eat. We have a food bill almost $1 billion, and a lot of that goes towards the tourism industry. So it only makes sense to look at what are we importing. You could go to the customs sheets or talk to the Department of Statistics and look to see. They have it listed by each food item, how much of it is imported into the country, how much it's valued. For example, grits. You can go to the customs sheet data form or statistics and see that we import, I don't know, $2 million worth of grits, or with honey. And it actually has it broken down by country, right? For honey, for example, I think a couple of years back, it was $20 million worth of honey was imported into the country. So this is one of the reasons why we decided to push the beekeeping industry or the aquaculture industry, because that's a huge market that we could do easily. So I would say the opportunities are in the low-hanging fruit, trying to substitute some of these imports. For example, I've traveled to Jamaica, and I stayed at the Marriott there in Kingston, and every single product on that table, every condiment on the table was Jamaican. I instead of getting mashed potatoes, I had to get sweet potato mashed potato. It wasn't an option to eat white potato, and I had callaloo with that, and I had I think it was barbecue lamb or something like that. So we have to try to, change the palate and the taste of our guests, and I think some chefs are willing to do that based on having conversations with them. Changing things up. I mean, why can't we replace all the honey that they import from France with Bahamian honey in these resorts and hotels? That's the market right there. And in terms of our cruise ship industry, we know that our cruise ship tourists, they don't really spend a lot of money, but there's a whole lot of them. I mean, it's like 5 million of them that visit the country every year. So we need to find out from them what they eat. Mostly Americans like snacks. So I always had this idea, like they like jerky and stuff like that. Why can't we make a goat pepper lamb jerky or something to sell $2 a piece? I sell it $2 or $3. You get 10,000 people to buy that. That's pretty good money there. Or finding little items for them to buy in that way. So I would say there's opportunities. At first, you have to do your homework and find out which one of these products on the customs list you're going to take a chunk out of, that you're going to manufacture here, because there's a lot of them that we can actually do here in a cost-effective way.
Yes, that is interesting. Actually, it was said by a guest of mine on the show previously that around 7 million tourists visited the Bahamas last year. And like you say, having that $1 billion food bill, naturally, the opportunities have to be here for the Bahamian farmers to take advantage of that and tap into the market, because as the tourists come in, fortunately, even though sometimes they drink a lot of alcohol, eat a lot of junk food, but a lot of times they do want to eat even what we eat, seafood, fish, and they would eat a lot of greens and microgreens, etc.
Right.
And so, like you say, relative to your visit there to Jamaica, we can be applying the same rules here, so to speak, by making sure that the resorts here prepare more Bahamian grown food and products for us to tap into that market. And so tell us, Shacara, please, some of IICA's initiatives that's going on and the immediate impact that they would have on the farmers and those in the agricultural industry.
Well, a lot of that, our initiatives are pretty vast in that we've been in the country for about 20 years, since 98. And a lot of it has to do with the main areas that we're looking at now is what you call bioeconomy. And that is looking at the ways that your biological environment can help you to make money. For example, with the beekeeping, as well as the composting, which is another area that people can get into with making money, like the debris that was left after Dorian, that that all those hundreds of acres of fallen trees that could be composted or mulched down and bagged and made into wood pellets. If you just get a wood pelleting machine and actually sold on the international market, that's an opportunity right there. Or make coal, charcoal from it, make biofuels. There's a lot of opportunity in that as well. So bioeconomy is one of the areas that we're looking at, how to make that relationship between the environment and the economy. Then there's, as well as our traditional bush tea and bush medicine, um, our traditional knowledge in that way that I think a lot of us take for granted. Even me, I still take my bush now and again, but that's a whole market in itself. Where I had at one point, I remember when Bahama first opened, the manager of the Rosewood, he was like, "Oh, you have all these teas," and he said he's from Portugal, and he was like, "The first thing that I did when I came here was buy all the bush medicine books you have, because I was like, oh, these different teas." And he's like, "This is a gold mine you all have, you know." I mean, we do have people making the teas and whatnot, but what I would like to see is people getting together as a cooperative, a bush tea cooperative, and where they can get these teas in numbers. I've heard of stories of individuals going to the States or whatever and offering the bush tea to certain companies, and they say, "Oh, this is a great product, but we need 2 trailers a week of this." And she was like, "I can't produce 2 trailers a week of this as an individual, but if you were a group, you could that's something you could actually sell." So as a cooperatives, we help to promote cooperative development. We also help with food safety, which is a barrier or challenge to farmers getting into the hotels, because they have no traceability. They have no records. This is another thing about records again.
Yes.
Hotels are not going to trust you if you don't have any protocols and procedures in place. They're not going to take on that liability of somebody in their hotel that one of their guests getting sick, because you don't have proper procedures and protocols for your own business. So, and that's another area we help with training and development. That's where the HACCP comes in, the hazard analysis and critical control points, as well as the good agricultural practices, because food safety starts on the farm, from the farm level.
Yeah.
As simple as having a bathroom on your farm, I mean, for your workers or where you work, so you don't contaminate produce.
Yes, interesting that you mentioned that, Shikara, because I had a previous guest on the show that we discussed the bush teas
Hmm.
and such, and having a lot of those products that's commonly grown here, indigenous here, growing enough of them consistently so that they could be, like you say, to export and be on the shelves commonly here, because these days go here and then you can even sell them, go in the food store and find these products on the shelf, all of these bush teas, etc., that could be so beneficial. And there's a market, and it shows that even in farming, the diversification is so important, and trying to encourage Bahamian farmers to just get beyond the mindset, well, hey, they grow guavas, for example, they just have to go on the corner and try sell these guavas. And a lot of these products can be canned. They can be used for different purposes to make so many different products. And so I think that is quite a good thing for all those in the agricultural industry to look forward to. But before you go, I just want to talk 1 second about, in order to achieve that, we have to be able to grow consistently in a quality that is always up to a particular standard, which may be better growing in a controlled environment, as you spoke earlier to. We don't have the depth in the ground, so to speak, and the honeycomb rock. So what do you think can be done in those regards to assistance to farmers to being able to grow that constant quality standard product to even to reach the export market?
Okay, well, in terms of our seasonal crops, we call our winter vegetables and our greens, there are hydroponics. That's a system of soilless growing. Basically, the you could grow your tomatoes and sweet peppers and whatnot, and it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. I've seen with one of the farmers in Abaco after Dorian, he took down his system. It was a vertical system. I don't know if you ever saw those tower systems where you could probably fit about 150 plants in one tower. And
Yeah.
he grows a lot of lettuce and greens and whatnot. And so before Dorian came, he just disassembled the whole thing and put it in the trailer. And then after Dorian passed, he was able to put that stuff right back up again. And he was harvesting again in 2 weeks. So that's where the climate smart aspect of agriculture comes in. I mean, same thing with, and then with that system, it's a limited amount of stuff. I mean, obviously you can't really grow tree crops in it, but if you could start with the winter vegetables and the short-term cash crops, that could really supplement. Let's say if you have a tree crop business like with the guavas and whatnot that you spoke about, that could help to supplement that part of your business. In terms of the tree crops, I would say the best way for things like that is to help where the composting would be to composting and building up the soil. We really need to build up the soil. It's just a lack of organic matter in the soil that we don't have. And even when people clear land for building houses and whatnot, all of that debris, all of those leaves, all of those things could be composted and put back into the soil to make it deeper and richer. It's just that we haven't been putting the effort into building our soil. So that's the area. And then well, there's aquaponics as well. And then, that's the system with fish and it could be any kind of fish. You have a very good system in Grand Bahama. You visited local organics in Grand Bahama?
I haven't had the opportunities yet.
Yeah, you have Mr. Wayne Hall there from Garden. They're in Garden of the Groves, and they did pretty well after Dorian as well. I visited Wayne those, and his greenhouse or shade house was up and running within weeks. He was harvested in 8 weeks again. He lost the fish and the tanks, but the whole structure was still there because he bragged that he put extra hurricane clips in and he built it himself and whatnot. But yeah, they were able to be very resilient and get back up and running again.
Yeah, how you mentioned the guy there in Abaco, and so they also have those greenhouses in the same type of situation that, in light of impending hurricane, can be broken down and everything removed and shipped to a more safer location at the time until the storm passes over.
Yeah,
and so
he just put it in a trailer. I think it was just a container.
yeah. Yes, just put it in the trailer. Shacara, these here some of the things that we can get more in depth into. This conversation could go on basically for who knows how long, but we don't have the time, unfortunately. But for those that may be looking for assistance, grants through IICA, and in accordance with record keeping, which should be as meticulous as possible, how can one go about putting in assistance for those grants?
I would say usually I would, at some point somebody would ask me to do grant writing training, which I've done before for various organizations as well as the public. Now and again, it just depends on if the need and the request comes in. I mean, the basic way to do that, I say, would be through the Ministry of Agriculture, who are very close partners of ours, especially your minister, who we are currently helping with the backyard program that you have. We have throughout the country. We've purchased the seeds for that program. And so we've also they also have the good agricultural practices courses going on. And in that course, it teaches you about record keeping as well at the farm level. But I would say I encourage people to like our Facebook page, the IICA Bahamas Facebook page. Go on Facebook and like the page. Anything that's coming up in terms of initiatives, we post on that page, as well as I have an IICA farmers group, which you can be a part of, WhatsApp group. My number is 424-7385. Also post a lot of information there. So I would encourage anybody, just give me a WhatsApp and I would add you to those groups. There's so much to do, so many ways to go, and there's a lot of hope still for us to move forward. At least I believe so.
Yes, and before I let you go, let me just once again say thank you, Shacara, and in particular with your assistance with having your colleague, Dr. Abiola, on the show,
Yes.
who would have spoken reference to the scene that you've spoken of, the debris that has accumulated since the hurricane. We could take that debris, break that down, turn that into compost, amend our soil, build up our soil, which would give us the opportunity to grow better products.
Right.
Because now something good can actually come out of all that debris sitting up there, and that could be managed. That waste can be managed properly to use in the agricultural industry. So, Shacara, thank you once again. And one of the things I like listening to you in your webinars and presentation is that you always make it so understandable. You find a way to simplify all the technological terminology for not only the viewers out there, even sometimes myself, to could understand precisely and clearly what it is you're saying. And so I thank you very much once again, Shacara, for being here. I appreciate it. And I'm sure all of us at RBN appreciate it. And maybe I can be so fortunate to have you one more time to elaborate on this some more, because there's so many different topics because of the opportunities to diversify the agricultural and the farming industry, and by extension on a whole.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And I just want to remind you that we will be in Grand Bahama, hopefully the end of this month or beginning of next month, to do a workshop in the composting. We have 4 islands to go to, and Grand Bahama is probably be our last stop. So keep posted on our Facebook page, and we will hopefully be there. You know, Grand Bahama is a special place for me. After my students are there from the beekeeping program we did a couple of years ago. So
you could say a shout out to them and tell them they could tune into.
Yeah, a shout out to the Grand Bahama Beekeepers Cooperative, as well as those guys at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Bahama Development Bank, and all my beekeepers at in Grand Bahama, especially Mr. Evans at Bugs R Us.
Yes, and I will definitely be looking forward to seeing you and Dr. Abiola when you guys make that trip over here, Shacara. Thank you. And yes, it was great having you here.
Okay, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay, ladies and guys, boys and girls, we're back about that time again. What's in my cup? I got something I'm for my director for a treat, but once again, ladies and gentlemen, take a guess what's in the cup. A nice, chilled drink. Take your guess. Leave your comments there in the YouTube channel. And hit us up on Facebook, RBNTV. And we will leave remarks there, relative, winners, maybe even clues. So just come and like the page, peek into it, see what's happening. But as for your comments relative to what's in the cup today, please, YouTube comments, okay, ladies and gentlemen? So today, when you go to leave your comments for what's in this cup, I give you a clue. Just think red. Think red. Thank you.
You're watching RBNTV. We are networking, promoting, we're scoring points for you, proclaiming, declaring, here to encourage you. No matter the problem, we will enlighten you. We hear you, please listen. There is a point of Inspired by kingdom principles.